handsome. Welcome back.
Mick and Bobby not on the road.
Nope, in the airport.
In the airport.
Last episode for 2014.
Yep. We're heading back to Sydney in an hour and a half. And where did we leave off? We drove to... I never remember where we were. I think the last one we did was it on the road to Wellington, or was it? No, it must have been on the road to like Rotorua. But what do you think of Rotorua and Napier? Well, hold on. I don't even remember which one is which.
Napier,
what did we do in Napier?
That was the mini golf that we didn't end up doing.
Right. So Napier wasn't that much to do, like a beach town, but
Pebble Beach. So
yeah. We didn't really do anything, did we? We just spent the night and then fucked off the next morning.
Yeah, had a pretty cool kind of, it had a European feel, that town, I reckon.
Yeah.
But there wasn't heaps to do. We ended up going to the winery. That was good, actually. That winery was pretty nice.
Yeah. Tasted some different wines.
Yeah.
And we bought a bottle which we ended up taking to a BYO restaurant last night in Auckland.
And finishing in record time.
Speed. It was so easy to drink.
It's still so good.
Oh, it's gone. What happened?
So from there we went to Rotorua, and we'd heard pretty good things about this place. Hey, like people back home had said it was good. People on the trip,
I'd never heard of it.
Said it was good. But it's basically the volcanic area within the North Island.
Smells like...
And it stinks. Man, you couldn't get used to it. Could not get used to it. That you walk out and you're just like... You know how I am with smells.
Because you breathe them in and you let them linger.
Oh, God. Bad smells are not my cup of tea. But...
we had some good food. Had some Indian food, some curries.
Yeah, that place was awesome, actually.
And we went to have an awesome Japanese tonkatsu, katsudon. And we saw another movie, Interstellar.
Did too. That's a long movie.
2 hours and 50 minutes. Thoughts?
That's a long time.
Thoughts?
It's too long, man. Had a real Inception feel about it. Obviously with the theme, like the theme of time and that kind of stuff. I liked it, and I'd tell people to see it, but personally I wouldn't go and see it again. You?
Yeah, like I told you, I mean, I fucking hate sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Usually, and I think it's because I'm comparing them to these like movies that are based on true stories, and you're you're looking at a sci-fi movie thinking that you're looking at it with a lens that's like, oh, if this was reality, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at it that way, you're just going to hate every sci-fi movie because you're always going to be pointing out shit that will never happen.
Yeah.
And so when I kind of let that go in the middle of the movie, and it's like, all right, let me just try to enjoy the experience instead. And even with that, there's still things that you're like, what?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it a lot more after that. Yeah. And I started focusing more on the things that I enjoyed, like the music and...
Yeah, some of the acting was a little bit like... At times
the guest appearance by
that was
we didn't expect.
Yeah, don't want to spoil it, but that was just like you weren't on the poster.
Yeah. That was funny.
Anyway, despite that not so spectacular review, you should still go and watch it. It's a big Hollywood movie. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, it was alright. Didn't mind it.
And that was the last of the movie reviews. And we should stress that we don't... Actually, we do tend to go to the movies a little bit, but...
On our trips.
But the weather, it's always weather dependent. Yeah. If it's sunny outside and there's stuff to do, we're not in the movies. But on this trip...
it's pretty much been either or here. I mean, either the sun's out and it's beautiful, or it's pretty much pissing down.
Or it's like this. It's raining.
And there's not much you want to do.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of both, I'd say.
Yeah. And then from there, we jumped in the car and went to Lake Taupo, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Did you take a photo at Lake Taupo?
I don't think I did.
I didn't take
it.
It
wasn't picture worthy.
It was not great. I'm sure it is, but the day we were there was overcast, raining. It was just horrible. So we made a move pretty quick. Actually, that was before we went to Rotorua, wasn't it? But
that was on the way. Yeah. Just stopped for lunch, didn't we?
Yeah. After Rotorua, though, we went to Hobbiton.
Oh, that was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah. That was that was something that we were kind of umming and ahhing. Hey, we're like, should we do it? Because it seems, on the surface, it seems expensive.
Yeah, it's like, $75.
Like and all the stuff that we'd done in Rotorua was like $30 or less.
Yeah.
And we went to like the thermal park and like saw the different smells and sights there, I guess. Went to the Wakarewarewa, the Maori
River
Maori village, or as I like to say, ha.
How many letters was in the name of that?
36 or something?
30. It was unbelievable. We'll post a picture of that. But some of the pronunciation, like WH was so.
WHA was fuck. Yeah.
So it was like, fuck a river.
Yeah. There was a few like.
What did she say?
You're telling me to get fucked.
I'm pretty sure there's a titty poo in there as well.
There was a few that were questionable. Like, are you actually?
Are you fucking with me?
That Maori village was pretty cool though. There was a guy there with all the tattoos on his face. That was pretty intimidating, I must admit.
Yeah.
But pretty cool. And then thermal bars we did there as well. And that was all of that was like less than $30 pretty much, wasn't it? All of it. So then when you go into this like 2-hour movie set tour for 75, we're like, we've heard good things, we'll do it. Let's go. Glad we did. Awesome. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. The colours and the photos and stuff are just incredible.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got all these useless facts now that when we watch the movie we'll be like, oh, did you know that was that and that was that, and the cake's on fire.
Dude,
and that's it.
Before we dig into Hobbiton, $5 for the towel rental at the thermal baths. That pisses me off. I can buy a towel for less than that.
Yeah, I know. I was actually thinking one of the things that we could have sold was towels, because we could have gone and bought them at like Kmart or something for like $2, and then just taken them back to the hostel and be like, yeah, I just want to give my towel back, and they give you $5. Arbitrage. Do that a few times and you got $10. 9 actually.
Okay, so every year when we have our things that we want to do, Mick always wants to sell something, and that's one of the items that I'm just like, fuck it, whatever. And he's always trying to sell these.
I have so many
things.
ideas.
We had a third left of a bottle of rum. He's like, dude, should we sell it?
We could have sold that easily. We could have sold the ticket
it's a
that I got today.
Hey, you want to buy a half bottle of rum?
Yeah, we stayed in hostels.
Did it?
You stayed in hostels. What are you gonna? Here, have some rum. Didn't cost us much. I'll sell it on for not much.
I just think it's funny how obscure the ideas are that you have specifically for the selling something item.
There are so many ideas. There's so many ways, so many things you can sell.
Towels and rum over here.
I like my cafe idea. I reckon that one would work.
Yeah, but that's
pretty good.
Slightly bigger operation.
It is a bigger operation, but
anyway,
that would work.
Hobbiton. So it's a movie set, obviously, where they recorded it. So I think what they did was for the Lord of the Rings, they recorded all 3 of them at the same time within like 2 months, and they didn't go all out. They built a set, and then it was temporary materials, and they pretty much burnt some of it in the filming and stuff like that. And then when the Hobbit were greenlit, they also recorded the 3 of those movies. So they took.
Are there 3 of them? Are there?
Yeah, coming out third, I think. They took 2 years to build this entire movie set, which is
with permanent fixtures.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like you get there and it's this little village with like all the Hobbit houses. Obviously, you can't go in and like actually live in them, but they have the outside, so that and they went pretty far with it, so that if by accident you'll see something in the background, like they've made it so there's actually another one.
If
like
the camera was like framed just slightly off, But it sounds like Peter Jackson. That's who directed it. Right?
Yeah,
sounds like he is.
Jackson.
It's probably like every other big time director in Hollywood, but his attention to detail is just.
Yeah, no, that's what I
can't. Oh my god! Like there was one thing that there was a certain tree. It was a fake tree, and apparently in the frame that he was looking through, he just couldn't deal with the color.
Yeah.
So he paid someone how much?
Well, so hold on. The tree was in The Lord of the Rings, and it was a real tree that was there.
So they went and cut down a tree at Mata Mata and brought that in for Lord of the Rings. And it was a massive oak tree, and obviously it died. Yeah,
well, yeah, it did die, but that wasn't the only issue, I think, because the tree in the Hobbit movies 60 years prior, so it had to be a lot smaller. So then they just go to
Like the same shape.
construct this tree that's smaller but the same one, and you look at it and the leaves look a bit sketchy, but
Yeah.
you couldn't tell from the rest of it that it was fake.
No.
And it's a fucking huge tree, and
It's massive. Yeah.
the price tag,
$500,000.
$500,000 for
Yeah.
one tree.
And they like fixed 250,000 leaves to the tree.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's this tree that Peter Jackson was looking at, and he went, "Don't like the color."
Don't like the color.
So they hired these people to come in and spray paint the tree, and like it's not just like spray paint, like the detail in the tree, it's phenomenal. It was
And
like
that's
makeup,
spent
like
half a
you know,
million
like
on
on the bloody tree. So
But
it's
at
an
least now it's
expensive,
there,
it's an expensive tree. Looks pretty cool though.
It looks real cool. And then they have a pretty cool bar. I don't know if it's in the movie. It's called the Green Dragon, and they
Yeah.
gave us a free drink, which was fucking good. Like,
It was actually,
that added a lot to the tour. I
Yeah,
thought.
it was
So
nice.
I think if anyone goes to New Zealand, even if you're
If you're in the North Island,
yeah, but
definitely
I
do.
don't know, it might even be worth it if you're just on the South Island taking a trip up. Like, it's fucking cool.
Yeah,
It
it's
depends
good.
how
No,
into.
it's really
we're not
good.
really into the movies, and we
I'll
still
be
were
watching them
pretty
again
impressed.
now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when I say again, I mean for the first
first
time.
time.
But The Hobbit, I don't think I've seen them. But yeah, it was good. And then we drove to Auckland and hit traffic. It's like the first traffic that we
Yeah, because
it's Friday
there's
afternoon.
4.4 million people in New Zealand, and in
Yeah.
Auckland is 1.4 million, and the next town is like 400,000.
Yeah.
So all we'd seen were like small villages to
Yeah.
like smaller cities.
And what was the next town? The second biggest town? It's not. Oh, it's Wellington.
Yeah,
Wellington.
Wellington. Yeah.
400,000.
But we get into Auckland, it's really got this Sydney/New York feel to it, with, I wouldn't say skyscrapers, but tall
Tall
a
buildings.
lot of fucking
Yeah.
tall buildings. And yeah, it's a pretty cool city, and it's right by the water. So that was good, but trying to get accommodation. We're as you know by now, we're shit at planning.
So there were two things that we knew for certain on this trip. Flying into Queenstown on the 1st, and flying out of Auckland on the 15th.
Yeah, and we still didn't book accommodation. We knew we were spending the night, so we end up in the car, sitting in traffic, and I'm just on Mick's phone because I've used up all my data, looking at hostels, and I called 14 hostels.
And I want to go through the pitch, the way that it was.
The way that the pitch evolved.
So
from,
the first call
Hey,
was the
just book it.
standard. Hey, I'd like to book a room, please, for tonight. Sorry, sir, we're all full. Okay, no problem.
fully booked.
Hang up.
Click.
Next one. Hi, I'd like to book a room for tonight, please. Sorry, sir, all booked. Okay, hang up. Hi, I was wondering if you had a room available. Sorry, sir, we're all booked. Hi, I was hoping that we could stay with you guys tonight. And it just became to like, do you guys have a room?
At
No,
the end,
okay. Do you have a room? No,
And we
okay.
also were looking for private rooms where it's 2 beds and nobody else sleeping there. By the last call, I was like, I don't suppose you have any beds
He's like,
available.
do you have a pergola out the back?
Sleep on the floor.
Hello, I wanted to see if you have any privates available for tonight. Alright, thank you. Fucking hell. Everybody booked!
None.
So we ended up getting a hotel, great location. The hotel itself is not that great, but it was $150, and that's considerably more than we have been paying.
Yeah, well, it was
Up
about,
until this point.
like, it worked out to be like, what, 2.5 nights?
Worth, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were like, and we just, there was a lot of expenses just like at the
Yeah.
same time. It was like paying for that, paying for parking, paying for
Yeah.
gas, and like
Yeah.
all kinds of shit. And then we're like, all right, there's one item that we do every year that we haven't done yet. $50 on black at the casino, which we happen to live right next to.
And there was a bit of debate around how much we were going to put down.
Which there always is.
There always is. But we were thinking, like, because we were paying more for the accommodation, so we're thinking, well, maybe we'll only put 25 total. And then we're also thinking, maybe we'll just put the whole price of the accommodation. And then we're also thinking, why don't we just put the whole trip on and see what happens there?
It's
So
so easy.
there were
how
so
those
many different-
thoughts
yeah.
just spiral.
There were so many different options, and basically came down to common sense prevailed from you, and you basically said, we've always done 50, we're doing 50.
Yeah.
And we should have put the whole trip on.
But that's the thing, right? If we would have done that, who knows what would happen?
Oh man, I would have been so unimpressed. That would have been the worst finish. I wouldn't have jumped off the building. Or maybe I would have, just not without the rope.
So Mick, for breakfast this morning, took a different route than usual.
Yeah.
Decided to jump off a 192-meter tall building.
That was good fun. We were out last night. We had a few drinks, and we walked past the the Auckland Sky Tower or whatever it's called, and we got the photo of the Sky. What's it called? Tower.
Sky Tower.
Yeah. And man, it's a long way up. And for the rest of the night and all last night, I didn't sleep very well last night. I was just thinking, like, God, it's a long way up. Am I really gonna do this? And then this morning, I was like trying to kind of like, we'll go and book it for like this time, and then we'll eat in the middle. And we get there, and we're sort of thinking like, well, it's really windy. What's the chance it's actually gonna be availability? And so we turn up at like 10 to 10, and they're like, well, our first jump's at 10:15 if you want to do that. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, come on, is there another one? Like, and Bobby was like, well, you might as well. I'm like, so we ended up doing that one, basically. And I must admit, I was pretty nervous. It was me and one other dude who was pretty nervous as well. We get up in the elevator, 53rd floor, 192 meters up. And this guy, I think, was pretty keen to go first, so he went out, was hugging the rail pretty tightly and did the jump. And when you did your skydiving, you weren't the first out of the plane, were you? There was someone that jumped before you.
Yeah, I was the first tandem out of the plane.
But as soon as you see someone else jump, you're like, oh shit, all right, this is happening, kind of thing.
It's real.
Yeah, so for me, that was kind of it, like looking at this guy. And the nerves kind of got up a little bit, and you get called in and they do all the adjustments, and then you literally walk out on this platform, and within seconds you're hanging over the edge. Literally, they're just holding you and you're hanging over the edge. And up until that point, I was really nervous. And then I got to the edge, was leaning over, and was like, this is going to be pretty good. And everything kind of went quiet. It was windy as hell, but everything just kind of went quiet. And I just took a moment to look at the view, heard the 3, 2, 1, and then just jumped. And
I was looking from down below, and I just saw this dot coming and growing.
yeah.
Oh, that's a body.
Oh, it's a flying
I know that guy.
Exactly. The landing was actually quite nice. Didn't mind that. Wasn't too like thrown. But I must admit, when you're up there and like you're seeing the target where you're going to land, 192 meters away, you're like, I think it needs to be a bit further to the left. So you kind of got that in your head as well. You're like, right now that truck's in trouble. Did the jump and landed, and I was pretty keen to do it again. If they had like when I did the skydive, they had a really cheap second jump option, which I took up pretty quick. But if they had a cheap second jump option on that, I would have done for sure. I reckon it was really good. But I was like we were talking about with the like scenic helicopter photographing and like skydiving and stuff, mate. You have to take yourself out of the situation so that you can enjoy what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
So that was good. I think I managed to do that. Like initially, I was kind of like,
which we could see in your GoPro video. You were kind of like, and then.
Yeah, exactly. And then started looking around. Yeah. Because you get that, like, you just jumped off a fucking building. So you get that, like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna, and then you're like, relax and just fall. So that was good. Good way to start the morning.
Yeah.
Kickstarter. And
we haven't really partied this trip, but last night we took our wine from the winery to a Thai restaurant, killed it record speed, and then went to Cabaret.
Cabaret.
Which is when you turn it up, really. we jumped on the rum and just sat outside of the park bench and just got molested by these 3 girls that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Qantas flight attendants.
That was like funny. They just walked by, and before we knew it, they were like sitting on our bench and like in our laps, essentially.
Just chatting.
Yeah.
But
I want to make that clear.
But the story at the they told you about what time they'd started.
Oh yeah, so they were like, yeah, we went to. At this point, it's what 10:30.
Probably about that, yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we went to lunch and we're still out. And they were clearly
You could tell that
smashed
they.
out of their
Did
faces.
you mean lunch yesterday? Like inviting the whole. They were having themselves a good time.
That's as big of a party experience as we had
Pretty
on
much.
this trip. But yeah, it was a different
Very
kind of
tame.
trip than
It's very tame.
the other ones.
Yeah.
As we talked about, the usual trips are longer. For one thing, they're usually 5 weeks. This is only 2 weeks.
Yep.
And they're not as much focused on scenery and like seeing places. So
Yeah.
the list kind of didn't really get much focus on this trip because one of the things we don't want to do is put stuff like, oh, go to Milford Sound or like go to Hobbiton and see
Yeah, exactly.
this,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really make for a good video.
No,
so like
and you're going to do it anyway. Like,
yeah,
it's sort
yeah.
of,
So when we put things on the list, they usually make for like an individual video of its own. Whereas
Yeah.
this trip was more like, I think it's going to be a bigger, like a one type of video with just like awesome
All the
footage.
stuff,
Because we
yeah.
have really beautiful footage because we've seen beautiful views.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's a very different trip in that respect.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's nice. It was more relaxing than usual, I'd say.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Even though we've been driving a shitload the past week,
Yeah.
we're pretty touch and go. Like, get in the afternoon, go out for dinner, have a sleep,
Well, it was
do
funny
whatever.
because it was pretty much like driving in the kind of morning,
Yeah,
see stuff in the afternoon,
Yeah, and then
sleep,
dinners,
drive in
yeah,
the
sleep,
morning.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there was only 3 places where we stayed 2 nights. Everywhere else was one. And that
Queenstown.
Dunedin, and Rotorua. Everywhere else was one. So the whole west coast, South Island
Yeah,
was just bang,
yeah,
bang,
yeah.
bang, bang, and then up.
3,000 kilometers.
Yeah,
In-
over.
in-
It ended up being like
in,
3,100
14 days
in Legolas.
in Legolas from Juicy.
Did you see that code out of
Your
NZ?
experience may differ.
Exactly. For all your reservation needs. Yeah. No, that went well though, didn't it? Like that all just kind of picked it up, dropped it off.
It did go well.
No problems.
And dude,
And we had like what 5.6 roughly, I think, kilometers per 100 for the car fuel efficiency.
Yeah.
And that saves a lot of money, man. Like fuel here, as we were saying, one of the other cars, like it's very expensive.
yeah,
Like we paid up to $2.50 for a litre, and we also paid $1.98.
yeah.
So
fuel was
it's a
fine.
fair change.
But where we saved money, I don't want to encourage people not to do this, but the car itself was $18 a day. Insurance was $17 a day. So we just kind of
We
had a
hedged.
chat, and we were like, you know
We
what?
hedged.
We're not going to do the insurance. We got another insurance, which was not with them, which was like $50 or something.
Yeah.
And I was not supposed to be driving because I don't have an international license at the moment.
Well,
So that's another thing.
Yeah, but it was sort of like that was a weird one because they wanted your license to be in English, right?
Yeah.
And like your license has driver's license.
Yeah, but
in
it's not
English.
enough.
But
There is a law
apparently
in New
it's not
Zealand.
enough.
Like if I were to get pulled over, I would have probably paid a fine for it. And
Probably.
yeah, because it is legal apparently. But so
Possibly,
the chick at when we picked up the car, she's like, I can't put you in the system because you don't have your license.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is again like take some risks and like go for the ask forgiveness, not permission.
But I only put 50 on black.
Yeah, but only put 50 on black. But like that's paid off for us, and it was the same story in the States. Like I don't
Yeah.
think we got the insurance. We didn't put you as an extra driver because
Yeah.
it would have been fucking expensive.
It pays off until it doesn't. That's the definition of insurance.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You don't have it and you're fine.
But
and
we
then
also
when
had
you
it.
need
We had
need
it. We had a backup here with the $50.
We hedged, yeah, we hedged, yeah.
So that would have
we
been
were
that's
covered.
3 days of rental, and it would have been $50.
Yeah, and we were
So-
covered. Yeah, so that worked out. But yeah, you're right in terms of like, you know, they certainly steer you in a certain direction. You don't have to go in that
And
direction.
Think on your own a bit and make a decision. So when I finished my driving, it was like a weight off my shoulders. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna get shit for that.
Yeah, you're
and
done.
then I didn't want to jinx it, but I was like, all right, if we just make it with no scratches or anything. Because here's the thing, like you said when we were discussing the insurance thing, and you're like, yeah, I'm not worried about us, I'm worried about somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yep, totally get that, but I'm like, it's no different from any other day when you're driving, kind of a thing.
No,
Like,
exactly right.
But like,
that's
you
the-
just start coming up with the what ifs, and that's when you're like, oh yeah,
That's
I'm
when you
just gonna-
take it. Yeah.
I'm gonna- yeah.
That's
and
the thing.
what
Like
they want you to
if
do.
you knew,
it's a scare tactic, really.
yeah, I agree. And if you knew when you were going to crash, you'd take insurance that day. But that's the whole point of it. It's I mean, you just got to hedge. And some people absolutely would not want to do that.
Yeah.
But it was it was.
It hasn't been recording.
It was good. It was good, and it was good to drop the car off and be like, all right, we're done.
Now you just need to get your money back.
Yeah, on the card. Hey, yeah, that's right. Should have asked about that. I forgot.
Should be all good.
Yeah.
So another successful trip.
Yeah, man.
And dude, the accommodation has been pretty good.
Yeah, New Zealand's good for hostels. Very good for hostels.
We never talked about the one upgrade that we got.
No, we didn't. That was nice.
That was in Franz Joseph. So we check in. I think it's $30 each, and we get our private room. So it's actually an apartment with 2 bedrooms, and we have one of the rooms, and then there's this Chinese couple in the other one. And I just stepped in, and I'm like, just didn't like the vibe. It's fucking cold.
So
first
cold.
of all.
That was so cold.
And then we find out that none of the heaters were working. None of the heaters were working.
No.
Can't be for us, right?
I don't know.
Hey, we gotta entertain the listeners.
Exactly.
Cold as fuck. None of the heaters were working. There were no like soap or anything like that in the bathroom. Like you couldn't even wash your hands with soap.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was ready for someone to come in.
Yeah. But so these guys were staying there, the Chinese couple, and I was just like, this doesn't really feel like it. I just went to take a piss, I think, and then you came back, and you were like, we're moving, and the chick that checked us in, just takes us up the stairs, and we walk into this room, and I just remember entering, and there's like, it's clean as fuck, there's 2 beds,
Exactly.
there's 1 bathroom, and it's really hot,
And
it's like a
about
sauna,
59
and it's
degrees
really
in
cold
there.
outside.
Exactly.
So I just remember like, not celebrating too much while
Yeah.
she was in the room, because I
Poker
didn't want her
face.
to be like, oh, I probably overdid it. What? Let's go to this room
Exactly.
instead.
Wait,
Here, check out this
wait.
shed. Exactly. So as soon as she left, we're like, turn up the heater.
Yeah,
I slept like a king that night.
that was pretty good that night. That was a good night. Yeah. But every other place, really. It's funny, because last night was probably like the least impressive, and it was also the most expensive. Hostels in New Zealand are fucking good.
Fucking good.
They're really,
Best
really
in the
good.
world, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah, like, in terms of consistency, like, as long as you're on
Pricing,
Hostel World or
experience,
Booking.com,
yeah.
like, looking at the reviews for those places, if you go with the 80% and above, you'll kill it.
Yeah.
Like, they're awesome. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it.
We should do you know any shout-outs?
Yeah, I know. I told you we needed to look at the shout-outs
Pull them up.
before we went ahead on this.
But yeah, we're done. We're done with the trip. We're heading back to Australia. Thank you for watching 2014. We do have some nice footage that I'm gonna make it my best video yet. That's for sure. I think I'll do a promo video that's like short and awesome, and I will make a longer one this year, and maybe we'll even do some narration in there.
Narration.
Be like, oh, we're doing this.
Why not?
Make it like a Top Gear episode, except not as cool.
All right, where are our
But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna find anything.
messages?
Thanks to everyone who's been following, and everyone that's been on the Facebook group giving comments.
Alex likes the name Lego.
Alex, thanks to Alex Walton, he's been up in there. I know Talay's always watching. Hello, Talay, we miss you. And actually, maybe we'll go to Lebanon next year. What do you think
Yeah,
about
we're
that?
actually thinking about doing that.
What do you think about that, Talay?
Yeah,
2015 Lebanon. I think that sounds pretty
sounds
good.
good to me. Sounds good to me.
Who else is watching? I know PC is watching. Hasn't left any comments yet. That's pretty fucked up.
That's not very nice, is it?
PC, we're disappointed. Very disappointed. Who else do you know that's been watching? What happened to that one dude that was watching all our videos last year? Raya Mat.
Oh yeah. I wonder.
Where you at, bro?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not really getting a great deal here. But maybe we'll do a thing in the credits at the end of the thing. Thanks to people. And put the joke. Man, we still haven't read that joke. Wi-Fi. I'm gonna blame it on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, blame it on the Wi-Fi.
Blame
New
it on
Zealand,
the-
we need to step it up on our front.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right.
That? Good trip.
Very good. It's been good fun.
See you next year. Ciao.